All right. Good to see everybody here. Welcome to All right. Good to see everyone to another live stream. Today, we have the pleasure of having with me Anu. Anu, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of the year, but we have a couple more of these after today. So for those of you who have been loyally watching us throughout the year, hopefully you're having a great time, and hopefully you're not too cool either. I think Anu and I were both here in California, and we've been working together on a number of things, including helping people with search accuracy. And what we've found is that folks want to understand how to get the best results through their agentic experiences, including getting answers to questions that they may have. And obviously, we've come a long way since RAG 8-10 months ago. And what we found is that users of DevRev have an ability to use a whole host of different features to improve the accuracy to get even deeper, more hyper-personalized results. And oftentimes people don't know how simple it is to actually get to those better, more hyper-personalized results. And so what we wanted to do was build a small demo that we can show with all of you. And hopefully by the end of this 25 minutes, you'll see how you can take results that are pretty good and turn them into excellent results, including some really interesting features that you probably won't find anywhere else. So with that, Anu, where do we want to start here?
Yeah, so I think we can start with something as simple as you have your data in knowledge graph, and how do you extract that out of that, right? And what comes out of the box, what comes just with a simple search capability. So what I'm going to do is if my stage can be shared.
Yeah, let's bring up the screen. And I guess in this scenario, you're going to have um, a connector with some information, or is this going to be information that's resident inside computer natively?
Right now, you could. Right now, it's actually resident inside the computer. I have pre-canned this thing, but there's nothing that prevents for getting this from several different sources, right?
Okay.
And typically, this demo will also go over a flow where you're looking at structured data, you're looking at unstructured data, and you're also actually trying to do an external information, trying to federate all of that together and see how your agentic responses changes. So
Mhm.
what I have here as a part of a demo is there are three accounts which are set up in this workspace.
Can you
Killers.
make it a little bigger? Sorry, it's quite small on my screen, at least.
Is this
There,
better?
much better.
Okay.
One more time and it'll be perfect.
One more time. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Is that good?
I love it.
Okay. So what I have in the demo environment here is three accounts: Killer Systems, Tyrell, and Cybertime, right? And Cybertime is the more intricate account here. It is one of our top accounts in the demo environment. And we can see, there are several opportunities which are connected to it. It's also using several of the products that this DevOps is offering. And these products have tickets and usages and whatnot that's associated with that. So over the course of demo, we will see, how our agentic system is able to extract this information and give meaningful information out, especially in the form of when it is responding to some risk indicators or the churn possibilities that might happen. So I'm going to start pretty simple with Taylor system.
Before you exit this diagram, let me just rehash what you said. What you're showing here is already something that's fairly intricate. The idea is that there's an organization that's using DevRev, happens to be using DevRev, and this organization, it's a demo organization, and they have in this demo organization different customers, and these customers are labeled here in yellow: Kaler, Tyrell, Cyberdyne. And of course, with some of these customers, not only are they using products, but there's an opportunity to sell them or to renew. And you are tracking that as well. So you understand that there are these customers, you understand that there are opportunities to do more business with some of these customers. And of course, you also understand the relationship between the customer that you serve and the products that you're creating. Namely, in here, it's sort of this idea called Deep Log and Orbit Engine, which happen to be these fictitious products. And of course, because you have these products, you also understand this relationship between products and tickets that are coming in from a customer angle, and then of course usage as well. So everything from how the product's being used, the tickets that are coming in as part of the products, the identification of the product, the identification of customers and opportunities, all in one system. That's what you've sort of set up in its demo org.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let's have a look.
Yes, so I think I'm going to move on to our computer interface. I'm just going to open a new chat here, and I'm going to ask about, what, show me the details of killer systems, and it just goes ahead.
Yeah. And while that's bringing back a result, what's really fascinating is that without doing anything, just out of the box, to be able to ask a question like that. Bring up that question again.
Yeah, I will just go ahead, start here.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, just make the screen a little bigger and we'll see it. Show me the details of killer systems. So, I mean, I just want us to step back and say, what software do we use on our day-to-day that actually gives us the privilege to be able to ask a question like this and not only get information about maybe just the facts of on the ground around the account, but also relating that to product usage, relating that to products that are actually being enhanced, relating that to opportunities, cases, tickets. So that's really what we're going to find here, I guess.
Yeah, so I think for this specific killer systems, what we're trying to demonstrate here, and to answer your question, right, like what software do we use here? It's completely DevRev, complete backbone of DevRev, which is on top of the knowledge graph. There are services which are built on top of that, which is search and the SQL. That is what is being used here natively out of the box for anything that you do within DevRev. So for this particular account, it actually went through and executed our search skill. Semantically, it is trying to figure out, what could be relevant things for this account. And this account is very minimal in terms of what is being set up in the demo environment. So it's just fetching the account details. There are some fields, attributes associated with that. And it's actually showing you, all the information associated with that. So if you see, one thing to highlight here is it went through a plethora of objects and it's actually fetched the right one that I'm looking for, right? And regardless if whether it's using a special character or not. So that actually shows the semantic capability or the multilingual capability of the search skill that we have inside in the agentic system.
Yeah. In fact, you could have asked this question in German and you would have gotten an answer back.
Absolutely.
But we don't have to try German. Neither one of us has particularly good German. But as far as I know, who knows? If we scroll down, what I love about it is that last bit in the result, which says approach, retrieved account details. This is what, traceability governance looks like, right? I mean, this is just one example, but it's telling you, computer gives you sort of provenance. It also gives you its approach. And that keeps you in the loop in terms of how this information is coming. I know there's various ways that shows up, but as we go through this, I just want to highlight these little knickknacks.
Absolutely. And I think and we can see how conversationally we can ask more things about this account. So I'm going to ask, are there any risk indicators for this account? And given that this account is very minimally set up, it's actually has a field called, risk flags. And you could typically have an automation which is updating these risk flags based on conversations, based on any activity, based on opportunities, based on usage, based on no matter what you want to set it up with, you can up-level that into account schema. And the knowledge graph skills are able to extract this just by asking questions in natural English language.
Yeah. And the knowledge graph is, of course, computer's memory not only has access to this information through connectors or natively, but it's also really good at connecting customer information to product information to work information. And then, of course, making sure that all of that is manifesting in light of your specific persona, not just what the agent's capabilities are. So here, as it's thinking, it's actually telling you exactly what it's doing. It's actually going through all of that. And what I love about it is the fact that after it accesses information from memory, it actually generates SQL. So we have here a data layer that's well suited to agentic systems like this one. So this data layer is actually SQL native. That means that whatever answer you're getting here and it looks like the answer is coming through, that answer is not only backed by SQL here, but you could take that SQL from a conversational interface like the one we have here and actually take it to a conventional dashboard or any other conventional BI type experience and just keep going. And you don't have to necessarily say, well, I don't know exactly how I got this result. I'll just take a screenshot type of deal. This is backed by real grounded information, a real data layer.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you'll see that because this is configured to look at opportunities, tickets, and usage data based on what it has in the environment. It is able to give you those risk indicators. So, for example, in this case, this AI is free flowing over here. It is not tightened enough to see, use this rule to come up with a risk indication, but you could absolutely do that. And since it's free flowing, it's estimating, I have only one support ticket in the demo environment, so I think that this is at risk. So that's what it is doing right now. But if you really see in the system inherently signaling that, there are actually no red flags. And how is this possible? This is possible because there is actually a field which can be up leveled into knowledge graph. So I'm just going to let it open. And if you look at that field, and that's like a custom attribute that's there inside the system, which is
yeah. And so we haven't necessarily defined what that custom attribute or custom field says or means, but semantically speaking, it's able to take just the flexibility of the schema and say, you know what, based on how it's titled, based on the actual information, not only in this record, but other records, I will evaluate that to mean something. And in this case, when you asked about risk indicators, it gave you an answer based on its best effort understanding.
Absolutely. So if I go to account and if I'm looking at that custom field, all I've done is given a name as risk assessment and no description whatsoever. So
yeah,
you have said it rightly that AI agents are able to pick that up pretty relevantly.
Yeah.
Okay. I think let's move on to something more interesting as well. So I'm going to actually use our another account, which is Cyberdyne Systems, which we were looking at here, and which has a lot more connectivity in the knowledge graph, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead, create new session here, so that we start clean. And what this is going to traverse through the knowledge graph. I'm not told where to go, what to look for, or anything over here. The system is able to figure out itself, figure out the schemas, figure out what fields could be relevant in order to answer these questions.
Mm-hmm. And again, so it's going to now, obviously with this account, there's going to be a little bit more information to look through. So it's going to collect that information. And I think just so the viewers know, and by the way, folks, if we go long on this one, you can always connect with us on our Discord server. So we'll flash the Discord server information at various times during this live stream. And then hopefully you guys can join us there. We always enjoy hearing from our viewers over there. And of course, if you have any questions, you can ask here as well. We may have time to answer them. While this is doing its work, Anu, what I'd love to see later on is how we not only define custom attributes, but also provide syntactic information in the form of annotations or other forms that actually allow us to improve results just based on human language. And I think we're going to be seeing that as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So I think it's just coming up a little bit more patience, and we'll see how that is being done inside in DevRev. So if you see overall, this actually went through semantically, got the Cyberdyne account. It actually went through knowledge graph, figured out, with this account, I see several tickets. I have seen some opportunities, and I'm going to get some information about that. In order to get that information, it actually generated some SQL based on the schema, and then there are a few annotations which are pre-configured in the system, and some which don't even exist, and then to SQL is able to pick them up based just on this field names. And overall, it is trying to give an assessment saying that, looking at this data, this account is giving me 1.2 million ARR. The new opportunity is also looking along the same lines. There is a verbal agreement about that, and win probability is 90%. So I think that overall this is in strong position. But when I as a account manager looking at this information, I want to see something more. And there is I don't see active users count for this account. How many do I really have over here? And we'll see what it fetches.
Okay. So, I mean, so far, based on your question, you were pretty happy with the fact that it was able to synthesize so many different factors and, of course, do some pretty decent level of reasoning on top of it, of course, grounded with SQL. But you still feel like there's more that you could do. So let's see what it says here.
Exactly. And if you'll see that because I'm trying to look for this information, it's again it's in some part of a knowledge graph, but it's not enabled yet, right? And how it's not enabled, I have done a very simple thing over here. This is the table that is actually containing the usage, and this table has this associated set of annotations which you can specify in a natural English language, right?
Mm.
And a simple annotation that I've given, you should not use this table for any responses. Maybe the reason is that the table is not completely up to date, it's not completely filled, or needs to undergo some schema changes, and whatsoever the reason would be. So if you see, because I have annotated it saying don't use this table, the agent actually did not even use this table to answer the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to enable this table. I'm going to give a good meaningful description to this table, and I'm going to see, is this table now being picked up? At the same time, if you notice, I've actually populated two fields over here to say, I used to have an active users field, which was like an old field. I don't want to use this field anymore. So I want to actually use a new field, which actually gives the most recent information. So what I'm trying to showcase over here is you can actually use natural language annotations on the table level, which is at the schema level. You can also use them at the field level, and these are completely decoupled from your physical schema definitions. This is like another logical layer on top of your physical schema layers.
Okay, let me read that back to you. Effectively, what you're doing here is because our system has a fully customizable schema layer, we are able to understand not just unstructured but structured information. And as part of that, there are these objects, and those objects have fields and attributes, and those attributes can be described in human language. And what you're doing here is you're updating descriptions to make them a little bit richer, to make them a little more descriptive. And by doing so, you're able to effectively craft a strategy to get better, richer answers. So all you're doing here is basically taking your custom attributes or even your stock attributes, and you're adding a little bit more insight as to how you think that specific pieces of information in your structured schema could be valuable in getting better answers. And so rather than giving this do not use type of indicator, which you had earlier, you've updated to say, look, the description of this field, this table is the following. Now let's go back and ask a question and see how that actually takes effect.
Exactly. And this is very valuable in real-time environments where we have seen, customers want to actually use predict their regional sales by total sales or by projected sales, or by projected sales and things like that, right? So I think that's where it helps users to do a lot more customization, hyper-personalization about what information they want to extract out of knowledge graph.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what it does. I mean, it looks like all we did was make a couple of little tweaks here to the schema annotations, and yeah, let's ask the same question or maybe a related question and see what kind of answers we get.
Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to tell them, usage table is available now. Can you check again in knowledge graph? Ensure that you get the updated table details, right? Because I updated the logical annotations. I don't want it to use the cache annotations. I want to make sure that it's going to fetch it again and going to go to the right field.
Okay, so while that's loading, what's really fascinating here is, of course, you could have asked all these questions in computer itself. Here, what you're doing is because you have this agent, you have a playground environment in this side-by-side edit experience. Obviously, this experience is getting completely updated with Agent Studio that's coming up. So folks can look forward to that. If you have any questions about what Agent Studio is and what it's going to look like and what type of additional features it's going to have, you can join us again on the Discord channel, and we'll flash that Discord server information. Please join us there. We'll talk more about that. But as it is, we already have this experience side by side, and it's a really wonderful place for us as we're just making edits. We don't necessarily have to go into the computer experience on the desktop or on the mobile. We can just show it right here side by side. So let's see what the question response looks like.
Okay, so now if you see that it went ahead, it uses usage table, it again generated a SQL on the fly to get the usage table, and it actually had a message printed here because I had enabled a little bit debugging mode over here to say, use it. The the skill is going to use active users to field because it has been asked to use that rather than old active user field. And it actually went ahead and did that, and it fetched the right information over here. So if we see here on the object itself, so there are two fields. This is an old field versus this is a new field, and it's able to fetch the information from the new field itself, just based on simple annotations which are specified in natural English language, which is so powerful.
Man, and really, you could annotate fields however you need to, and of course, when people define schemas or when they create attributes for structured information that's backing questions that they might have, they know exactly in their head what they may or may not want this information to serve, and to be able to just kind of describe it, or over time just add descriptions to already existing fields and schema, or maybe add custom attributes to an existing schema and then describe it in detail. You can only imagine how that's going to help the system get more and more personalized over time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you'll notice that conversationally, it's able to retain that context that I was asking for Cyberdyne. I'm asking follow-up questions on that, follow-up questions on that, and it's actually updating that risk assessment with respect to that account. And now it thinks, you know what, it actually seems like the usage is going down, and number of active users has come down to 1200, right, compared to what it was in the system. So I'm actually going to ask the follow-up question, are there any indicators, any external signals which could actually explain some of this? And what I'm expecting over here is I have added an external web search skill, and which will actually give some information, recent news or its financial information from the industry about this specific account, and explain what we are seeing here right now, and see if it has any impact on what we are thinking about this account.
Yeah. I mean, just for those who are following along, we asked a question and we got, we found out that we had strong positioning for a new opportunity. That was based on synthesizing a great deal of information across tickets and opportunities and other information around the account, so on and so forth. And then what we did was, as we described and allowed it to use more additional usage information that was already in our schema, just through annotations, we found that it actually updated its view from you have a strong position on this new opportunity or this customer to saying, you know what, there is some modest risk because usage seems to be dropping. And so just by adding those annotations and giving it access to understand the nature of specific information that already existed in your structured schema, you were able to get a way more, I would say, authentic answer. And of course, now what you're doing is you're not only using the information that's already inside your schema, you're saying, you know what, why don't you also leverage information that might be existing out there in the world, in addition to my structured information, in addition to my unstructured information. So now let's look at what's happening.
Yeah, and if you notice that it actually went ahead, got that information from externally, and there is a news that came up about this account that is going to get acquired by Omnicorp, and it's undergoing an acquisition, and there might be a significant risk to an already a verbal agreement which was in play, right? So if you noticed earlier, there was an opportunity where it said, this is actually in verbal agreement. We win probability 90%. But with all these other signals, now we can see, this is actually a critical high churn risk, and we need to start acting on it. And if you'll notice that it also gives you some immediate actions which are required, which could be, do some priority meeting, do some financial planning, do some escalation. So it's pretty ingrained in terms of absorbing the signals and giving you information that's needed.
Wow. So we started off with connecting a bunch of information and giving a sort of synthesizing a response based on the facts inside the system. We then showed that you can use custom attributes to embellish and have just access to even more information. And those custom attributes could have workflows and automations behind the scenes that are actually taking information and actually populating them. So they don't have to be populated for humans. So we saw that, and you could see that that gives you a pretty robust answer that's taking information from disparate systems, maybe cross-department factors, and giving you an answer. Then we actually use annotations to understand that, we don't have a strong position here. There could be some modest risk because usage is dropping. And that was based on the fact that we described some of our fields as having to relating to usage. And then, of course, by adding tools and skills that allow you to do a great many things, including maybe going out to your long tail of IT services, or in this particular case, maybe going to some news aggregator service and getting some factors that could be interesting to understanding the nature of our opportunities. We're able to put it all together and say, you know what, it's not a strong position. It's actually not even modest risk. It's actually very high risk because of this acquisition.
Absolutely. And we can see how progressively more and more unified information is actually able to assess things really well on behalf of humans, right? So right now we actually did pull of many of these information, asking questions. But you could pre-configure some of these questions and have this information come at your fingertips on a daily basis, on an hourly basis.
You could also, obviously look at what questions are being asked and say, you know what, for those who are organizing data, creating connectors, you could say, what new connectors should I bring in? What custom attributes, what custom fields could I add? How do I want to add more descriptive annotations to my schema? And then, of course, what type of tools or skills? Now, you showed us some of the stuff. I mean, we went to the object customization panel. You also showed us how you were annotating the schema. Do you mind just showing us what that skill looks like, the one that's actually pulling information from web?
This skill is pretty simple right now. This skill, if we go,
okay,
let's the skill. And it's doing a simple HTTP API call. So you'll see that it's able to have its own authentication tokens. In this specific case, I'm just using a dummy one. It's going, because it's a dummy account, I actually have a mock external search that is set up, but you can actually integrate your own external search tools here, u.com, Perplexity, or anything that you want to have here, and it's able to pull that information.
I just want to reiterate, you did not have to write any code, compile any code for this. Zoom in, please, if you don't mind. I mean, literally, just look at what this thing is doing. It's the thing is triggered by the agent invoking this skill, and what it's going to do is literally just make an HTTP call. So being able to make a call to the internet or to your services using your tokens or your authorization mechanisms, it's as easy as a drag and drop here. And you can actually see all the runs. You can view the actual node by node conditional logic. Wonderful. You can obviously see that there were a couple of test attempts here. If we actually click on that last one, we'd actually see exactly what happened, right? If we click on it, you'll see exactly what happened. Obviously, it's a very simple skill, but you can see it took 5 seconds and it was able to grab this information. It tells you exactly what URL it used and what information came back, so on and so forth. This is amazing. So what we've seen is our ability to use connectors, AirSync connectors to bring in information, synthesize it, provide you accurate answers fast in ways that really, rival everything out there. Like there's really nothing that can do better. And then, of course, you can further customize because we have that inbuilt schema engine. And then you can further annotate to create richer, more personalized responses that are deeper. And then, of course, the ability to integrate tools, skills that go into your long tail of IT within your enterprise or go out into the public facing internet to access information and bring it back into the knowledge graph, into computer's memory to answer questions in this holistic way. I think we've seen a lot here, Anu. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, and I would just summarize everything that you just said. I did in natural English language. I did not write a single line, of course.
This is a no-code experience. I think easily we could do a 2-hour workshop on this, and maybe we'd see some of our viewers out there in the future. So I'm excited about this. Is there anything else you wanted to demo today, or is this where we're going to end today?
This is it, Ahmed.
Okay, outstanding. Well, Anu, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Again, I'll just ask people, if you are interested in continuing this conversation, this is Search. We do workshops on not just search, but also how to build great tools, skills, how to upskill computer to get even faster, more accurate, more personalized behaviors. It's not just about getting answers, it's also about taking action. And of course, in order to do so, you can actually define and upskill the computer agent itself, or other agents if you'd like. So in order to do any of those things, please stay tuned to subsequent live streams. And we're going to talk about many of those things in the future ones. And of course, we'll have some workshops that are related to the same topic. So Anu, pleasure to have you here. We'll see you next time. Thanks everybody for joining us. Take care.
See you. Thanks everyone.
Bye. See you later.